everyone. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so today we will do some cherry blossoms, or as the Japanese call it, sakura. Okay, so of course, they always bloom, and it's celebrated every spring. So for me, um, whenever I think of spring, really, these are one of the things that come to mind, except besides Easter, the eggs and flowers, but specifically the blossoms. Because in Japan, for example, people go to Japan, and people in Japan celebrate it every year. They have um, a flower viewing festival. How awesome is that, right? So, okay, so that's why today let's do some sakura. Um, Not overly complicated, not overly realistic, but just looking at the flowers, you'll be able to tell that they are cherry blossoms. Okay, so let me just flip down my camera, and then we shall continue. All right. Okay, let me fix this a bit so it's a better angle. All right, there you go. Okay, so let me flip this around so you are seeing things the right way. Okay, so for our cherry blossoms, it won't be so complicated like I just said earlier. So we will just I have this paper that you can see that's pretty long, so I feel like it's perfect for painting a long branch of a cherry blossom. So you can cut your paper whichever way you want. You can make it into a bigger paper. Again, it's really up to you. So I will do the sketching now as well, because again, it's not complicated. So I'll basically just um, rough sketch it. Okay, so nothing too complicated. Okay, let me add some lighting so it's not too dark. Okay, so you guys, if you have like trouble seeing things, and just let me know. Okay, I can make adjustments. I can adjust the camera. Okay, so for now, I'm going to zoom in as well while I'm sketching, just so you can see it better as well. Okay, there you go. Okay, so again, it's a long branch, so you can find a reference photo if you want. So I'm going to start here. And then I'm just going to make circles for where I'm going to add the flowers. Again, nothing too complicated. And then some flowers, I'll have them overlap as well. And then some of the flowers are not in full bloom, so don't make everything in blooming, because it will look too weird. This way you have different stages of your flowers. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it closer so you can see the rough sketch. So just rough line for the branch, not a straight line, something gnarly, I mean something wobbly, and the circles for where the flowers will be, and some of the buds. Okay, so as I paint, you'll see it better. Okay, so and then there's also a few blooms here. I just like to roughly sketch things out because I tend to forget sometimes that I have some details to work on. Okay, so now I will use the Moderno palette because it has the opera paint that I will need. I also mix it with some red. So I will take my opera paint, a little bit of red, and then a little bit of white, and a dash of yellow. So I will create my own sakura color. Okay, so it's like a warmish pink. It's not a cool pink. So you want to be able to get that. Okay, so I will get my opera pink from the Moderno. And then I will get my Pearl red. So I don't want a warm red, just a mid red. And then also white. And then some yellow. Okay, so I don't want my colors to be too flat. So I'm going to mix it up and see if I like what I get. Okay, so again, as usual, if you've seen me before, I usually have scratch paper to test my mixtures. So I also recommend that you have paper. It doesn't have to be watercolor paper. It can be anything, just so you can actually test out your mixtures. Okay, so first we'll start with creating our own color and see if we like it. Okay, so again with my opera pink. So it's too pinkish. That's not what I'm looking for, so I'm going to, but it's a good base to have. Then I will add a little bit of red just to okay, I like it. Now let's add some yellow, okay, to give it that warmth. Okay, but if you already have a perfect color for this, like for example, if you have maybe quinacridone magenta, if you have that, then that might be a good color already to use for your sakura or your cherry blossoms. So depending on what the colors you have, even if you don't have that, you can mix the colors that you need, like what I'm doing now. So never fear, as long as you have a good selection of colors, you'll be able to sort of get the color that we're aiming for. Okay, so a lot of the prep work is really gonna happen in your mixing plate. Okay, so have some patience to really mix the colors that you're looking for before you paint. Okay, so I'm going to try out now the mixtures that I prepared and see if I like them. Okay, so this is the pale pink that I'm looking for, and then for the deeper pink. Okay, so they look good together. Okay, let me just add a bit more pink here. It's too red. Okay, and there you go. So you really, it's like a chemistry. Basically, you're trying to mix things up until you get the colors that you want. Okay, so now that we have that, we can start painting. So this is what I do with my pans. I take them out if I know I'm going to use just several, so that I don't, I can avoid mistakenly dipping in the wrong pan. Okay, so let's start by working on our first flower. Okay, so it has 5 petals, so you can of course draw it properly if you want, and then or you can just go like me and just wing it. Okay, so just start with, I'm just going to start with 5 dots so I can just set up where the petals are going to spring from. Okay, so at least if I have that, then okay, so I rinse my brush and then I'm dipping now into my pinkish color, and then I'm going to go from here and stretch it out to create the petals. Okay, so remember the petals aren't they don't have like a smooth end, they have like a curled end, curled edges, so do something like that. Okay, so I'll zoom in further now so you can see better. Okay, I hope you can see it. Okay, so again, there's my first petal. You can make it bigger if you want. Feel free to add water if you want to extend it further. Now I'm going to go back to my mixture again, the lighter pink, and then again pull the dot outwards, dip my brush in water. Okay, so very easy. I really find the dots very useful because then I know where to stretch my petals from. Sometimes if you just, you know, guess it, some petals are too much near each other, some petals are too big, but this way you get to be able to stretch them out better. Okay, so again, don't worry if it's not perfect. Okay, we're not aiming for perfection, and anyway, you don't have to if you're dealing with flowers. Flowers are very organic, so they don't all look the same. The petals don't look the same. Okay, so there you have it. And then if you want to add extra color, just with your more concentrated mixture, just dip it here at the center. Okay, so if it's still wet, it's still gonna spread, but this one, for example, they're sort of dry. So you can just, again, dip your brush in water and just add to the edges some water to help them move outwards. So we're just helping them spread along. Okay, I'm going to add here as well. And there you go, there you have it. So it's not so flat anymore, and you have your first flower minus the details at the center. Okay, so now you'll just do the same step over and over until you've done all your flowers, basically. Okay, so let me just move this. And sometimes you'll have to replicate your mixture if you've run out. Okay, so just be prepared to keep mixing it again. So very easy. If you have any questions, just ask away. Have you guys painted the cherry blossoms before? What was your process? Okay, so I'm running out, so I'm just going to prepare enough. Okay, I'm adding a lot of water. So if I need a lot of mixture, I actually use a syringe or a dropper. Okay, so let me just mix the colors that I did earlier. Upper rose, pearl red, some yellow to soften the color so it's not so cool. Then some white. Okay, but remember, if you add white, it's gonna make it a little opaque-ish. Not extremely, if you're not gonna add a lot, but it will definitely affect the transparency. Okay, so if you don't mind that, like me, for example, I don't mind it. And anyway, these flowers are not transparent, so I don't mind it. Oh, thank you. But yeah, so I prefer to mix my cherry blossoms with a little warmth to them. Makes them look more real for me. Okay, so again, that's why it's important to have your swatch card so you can actually test if you mix the same colors or not, or are you mixing a different shade already. Okay, so I always have a scratch card no matter what, because sometimes I also forget the amount of colors I use to mix the colors that I'm using. So just having something to match it against really helps. So a lot of back and forth. A lot of the magic happens on your mixing plate. So if you're really aiming for colors that you will love, then I suggest you get used to doing a lot of the pre-work on your palette, on your mixing palette. Okay, so again, I'm just going to swatch just to check if they're the same. Okay, they're fairly the same. Okay, so just the same steps again. Let's start with the dots. 1, I have the circle here to guide me in the shape of the flower, so that's good. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and now I'm going to just rinse my brush and then get this softer, lighter color, and then spread the color outwards. Okay, just go around, do all your petals, and you don't have to leave white spaces, complete white spaces. They can overlap, up to you. Okay, and you can even extend the petals even further if you feel like they're too short. The dots also help to have a more concentrated color at the center, which will also help with the volume. It adds depth to your petals so they don't look flat. Okay, and then the edges. And again, if you want the colors to be deeper at the center, just get from your concentrated mixture and just drop your mixture there at the center. And since the paper is still wet, it's still going to spread softly outwards. So that's the nice thing about wet and wet. It gives you the soft diffusion of colors. Okay, so far we have two. Awesome. Okay, there's another one that will overlap this, but I will do that once this one has fully dried. Okay, so now let's move on to where else do I have? I have down here. Okay, so let's go with this one down here. Okay, so this is a bit smaller. Okay, again with the dots. So just actually very repetitive, right? It's just, you can maybe practice this if you're not yet confident on a separate paper, just getting the basic shape and how to stretch out the petals. And then later on you can, once you've practiced enough, then you can use it for your work. Okay, so slightly smaller, not so much. Just less extension of the petals. And then I just like to go over with a wet brush on the edges, just to give it that softer edge. Okay, feel free to twist your paper around when you do this. I can't so much while I'm doing this live, but typically I would already twist around my paper to help me get through instead of twisting my arm around. Okay, and again, pulling this outwards. So if you do a very concentrated dot at the center, then you can also already use that to stretch out. Okay, and while everything is still wet, I'm going to drop the more concentrated color just to help it spread. Okay, awesome. Now we have three. There's another one right here overlapping. It's nice when some overlap because it makes it look more three-dimensional. So even just one or two already makes a huge difference. Okay, so now let's go and continue. I'm going to work now on the buds on top so that I'll give the other parts time to dry. Okay, let me just move this. Okay, there you go. I hope you can still see my mixture. Okay, so for the buds, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to add the dot, add like a big dot here, and then my paler mixture. Okay, So if you want to work faster, you can use a bigger brush. In my case, if I'm trying to paint loosely, I'm still quite controlling. But if you want it to be even looser, then use a soft big brush to help you out. Okay, so next, again, another concentrated mix here. And then the paler. Okay, so even the buds have varying sizes. Not all of them are small. Some are about to bloom. All right, and I have two more here. So again, with the deeper color, then the paler color. So again, try to also vary the sizes of your buds. Will give things more dimension. Okay, and finally I'll add a tiny one here. So I'll use the more concentrated mixture for this, because usually when it's a bud, the color is also more darker, right? More saturated. Okay, so I have several buds. Awesome. Okay, so now I have to make sure that this is dry. So I'm just fully dry. So I'm just going to go over it with a blow dryer quickly. So some noise. All right. Okay, so again, there's a smaller one here and there's an overlap. I'll start with an overlap. Okay, so I've sort of run out of the darker mix, so I'm just gonna quickly create. Okay, so hi Joe. You're halfway through, but you can watch the replay. There's always the replay. Okay, so again, at the center, 5 little dots. Okay, so depending how big your flower will be. Okay, so I'm just rinsing my brush and then going back to my paler color and then spreading it out. So if you don't want this to be too dark, then you have to go and rinse your brush kinda, or dip it in the water every now and then, just to get rid of some of the pigment. Sometimes all it takes is a quick dip, but in my case, I actually want the smaller flowers to be of a slightly deeper color. Okay, and again, the one here at the center overlapping. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and dip my brush in the water and get my lighter mixture and then overlap. Okay, so this one I'm going to add a bit more pigment. I want it to look like it's really on top of this other flower. So again, if you can see, it's actually quite simple. As long as you have prepared everything, like their placement, as long as your composition is ready, it's quite easy. It's just very repetitive. The same technique over and over again. So you can really do this and you'll end up with a really awesome, lovely sakura creation. Not all of us can go sightseeing and flower admiring, there are no sakuras near me, so I'd have to go to Japan to do that. But you know, you can paint one for yourself and you can get to admire it at home. Okay, so that's why I wanted to use this long paper, because I think it's perfect for a branch. So it's actually this long. Okay, so next, I am now done with all the petals. So now we'll work on the inner parts, the center. Okay, so I'm going to get my pink and then mix with it the red. I need a very concentrated color. Okay, so again, test it out if you like it. Okay, so I like it, I can use it. So it's a deep pink. It's like I created magenta by mixing my Purell red and my Opera pink. Okay, so I'm just going to switch brushes so that I have more control. I'll go for, let me just, okay, I'm going for the number 1 round. Okay, so this is what I like to do when I want to be sure not to mess things up when I'm working with details. I just switch to a smaller brush. Okay, so now we'll add the center where there are extensions of this color. So normally this is actually paler, but this is a quick and easy cherry blossom, so we'll just go for the more easier style of it. Okay, so we'll create lines branching out from the center. Okay, so we'll make sure the center is a deep color. Let's add a dot there, and then let's add lines branching outward for all flowers except for those not fully in bloom. Okay, so some are longer, some are shorter, so play around with the height as well. And of course, for the smaller flowers, they will be slightly shorter. Okay, so just keep on working and keep on adding for all the flowers except for these ones that are still closed. They will have some, but just peeking at the top. So have you guys painted any spring flowers yet? And also, before I forget, we have a spring challenge. So if you guys would like to join, just post your spring themed works. Okay, so I'm adding as well here on the buds. They will already start to sprout some of these. Some will be showing on top and some just barely. So I'm just going to add little bits here. Okay, so join our spring challenge. Let's fill our wall with spring themed elements. Okay, I'm going to add some darker pinks here and there just to add depth to the buds, like just to show that some sections are overlapping, some are more shadowed, things like that. So that they're not too flat. Okay, so this is very easy, very quick and easy to do, and yet very pretty. Oh, daffodils. Wow. I haven't yet. I think, yeah, not yet. Not lately. Okay, so now let's go and add some warm yellow for our for the tips. Okay, so let's add some yellow. So again, I'm just going to prepare it here on my mixing plate. Lots of preparation on the mixing plate. Let's add a bit of new gamboge to make it a bit darker. Okay, and then we'll add them to the tips of these lines that we added. Okay, so you don't have to find all the tips. You can just create circles here and there. Okay, so just just suggestive, just very impressionistic. So no need to go crazy on the details. You can relax and you can just have a more fluid kind of painting, more loose, which I'm trying to do more nowadays. Okay, also here are the little ones that have some peeking out. Okay, again, don't overdo it. Okay, so far, so good. I like it. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a bit now because I'm going to work on the branches. Okay, so far, this is what we have. So you can see it bigger scale. Okay, so I'm going to switch brushes again. So I'm going to be working on bigger details. So I'm going back to my number 5. Yeah, or number 5. The numbers are gone. They're so heavily used. Okay, so we need some brown for this. So let me go and check out my colors. We don't want a soft, so I'm going to use raw umber. I think raw umber would be great for this. Okay, so this is raw umber right here. Okay, so this is from the Classical palette. Okay, let's get the raw umber and place it here. Okay, so again, I will prepare it. Let me just remove this color. Let's make room for brown. How many palettes do you guys have? I have several because I don't want to wash my palettes when there's a lot of colors there. So I have several so that I can still use them. Okay, so let's prepare brown. Again, you can always test it out to see if you like it. Okay, so let me just okay, so with the tip of the brush, I will start from these tiny ones on top. And connect them to each other. Okay, so don't make the lines too thick yet. So just using the tip of your brush, or you can use a smaller brush if you want. If you have a harder time controlling your lines, maybe you have tremors in your hand, then I suggest you use a small brush, a detail brush, so that it's practically impossible to um, create big lines. Okay, so we will connect them to each other. So this one is traveling here and connects to this one. Okay, so they're not, you know, dangling just for no reason. Okay, and I'll just add a bit of pink to my brown, just to add it here and there, give it a slight pinkish tinge. It's like the colors of the flowers sort of bounce on the brown of the branches. Very slight, but I feel it adds more depth, so the brown doesn't look too flat. Okay, and there you have it. So here are our cherry blossoms. Okay, so feel free to mix your own kind of pink. Okay, you don't have to follow the pink that I mix. This is my preference. You can use a much cooler kind of pink, and you can even add other details. Like I think I want to add an extra bud here, so I'm just going to go add that now. So sometimes you just want to add things that are not in your original plan, and that's fine. You don't have to be, you know, strictly following your reference. It takes away the enjoyment out of painting. So have some, you know, freedom as well. Okay, so I added a bloom here. I feel like it's going to balance things out as well. And then, of course, a branch or a stem connecting it. And again, as always, take a break, especially when you're feeling frustrated, and come back to it later. Everything will look fresher and better, and you will have better perspective if you don't force it. Okay, and you never know, maybe you will see areas where you want to add more or not. And you can always add a background. If you do, then it has to be a nice bright blue sky, right? Very spring sky. And if you do, it will even make the cherry blossoms pop out. So it will give it a background to contrast with. So, but you can always, of course, have it like this, very Japanese, right? So again, up to you. And I hope you guys liked it. I hope you found it very easy to do, and I hope you'll try it out, because it's actually very easy. A lot of repetitive work that we did earlier. If you weren't able to catch it, then just come back to it later. Okay, so now I'll go back to my face. Okay, hi guys. Okay, so this is the final work. I'm not sure yet if I'll add background, maybe not. I'll keep it like Japanese. Let me just twist this light, it's killing it. Okay, so this is it. And you can already hang it as it is. Cool, right? So I just bought this sized paper on a whim, because I feel like it's also an interesting, you know, size. Okay, so I hope you'll try it out. And if if you do try it out, please share it with the group, and also join the spring challenge, spring theme challenge. You can do anything spring really, and just use the hashtag ZenArt Spring 2022. Okay, if you do join, you'll get a 10% discount on our store. So I'll hope you try this out, and thank you for joining me. Yes, kakam pink. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys. Oh, if you have any questions, ask away. Do you guys have any questions? No? And anyway, you could just ask here in the event, and I'll get back to you. So if you need guidance on anything, if you need, what do you call this? If you need to sketch, let me know. But basically, you saw me sketch earlier. It's just the lines, the basic circles where they are going to be placed. And just do this step by step and you can do it. Okay, thanks guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.